All right. So can you introduce yourself and introduce your festival?
Yeah, so I'm Nick Castleman. I'm one of the founders of Labyrinth Events, and our festival business is called Labyrinth Festivals. We've got two festivals this summer. One is on the 10th of July, which is called Labyrinth Open Air. And that's with a range of mainly melodic house and I'd say deep house artists, particularly Arm and Back to Back Dixon. And then we've got another show on the 7th of August, which is called Labyrinth Presents DJ Co's & Co., which DJ Co's played a big part with us in curating the lineup. And he's playing with Jose Gonzalez, Motor City Drum Ensemble, Elder Island, and a couple of others amazing artists.
That's awesome. When did the festival start and what inspired it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is actually the first year that we will be doing the festival at this venue. The license we had, we were meant to launch last summer, but obviously really sadly because of the pandemic, we couldn't go ahead. So July 10th will be the first day that the festival has ever taken place. So that's really, really exciting. And what inspired us, there's a couple of things that inspired us. So first things first, we are really big believers that we all live in an experience economy now, and people are willing to pay a little bit more money to go to what I would describe as an experiential event where they maybe have to travel a bit there. It's in a beautiful setting. And it's different. It's not that I've got anything against going to a nightclub on a Friday evening because we love nightclubs. Yeah. It's a different sort of experience. And that's kind of like what we're looking to create here. And we really believe in finding interesting venues. We found this venue, it's quite accessible from London. It's like an hour and a half in the car, 35 minutes on the train. And it's just unbelievably beautiful. The second thing is that and you'll get this, like, I'm sure it's the same in America, but it's very competitive in London. In fact, ridiculously competitive. And there's basically a couple of very big promoters that are backed by institutional equity and private equity that lock out all of the top talent. They do exclusivity deals where they say, right, we've got 2 festivals in London, we've got a club series, and you're basically going to play for us for the whole year, and we're going to be able to offer you more money than anybody else. And we were getting to the point of our business where we were at the point where we should be working and booking those artists. Right. And really the only way we were going to make it happen was by going outside of the exclusivity clauses of London and getting outside of the M25, which is where our venue is. So that was another reason that inspired us.
Interesting. That dreaded radius clause really sounds like it really affected how you guys do business. Can you tell us a little bit about the site and how it influences the festival? Yeah, so the venue is called Toff Manor, and it's really interesting. So it's a countryside home with a bunch of land around it that's actually now used as a spiritual retreat and events center. So they actually have a labyrinth on site, which was based on the Labyrinth of Chartres Cathedral, and people walk the labyrinth. It's completely symmetrical, and basically you walk the labyrinth, and in the middle of the labyrinth, it's meant to create a lot of peace and good energy. And they have like meditation rooms, crystal healing rooms. So there's a very, very big focus on the venue and spirituality and well-being. And alongside that, they do events. So they have, private events, weddings. Never done an event like this. And we were the first people we managed to convince them to let us try and do this, and won the license. And it's completely in the open surroundings of the UK countryside, which is just natural beauty. And it's green, luscious everywhere, open skies, we hope, obviously, being in the UK, you can't guarantee that. Right. And yeah, so how it would influence the events, a couple of things. So on the day of the event, that labyrinth I told you about, people will actually be able to walk it. So one by one, people will be able to go and walk the labyrinth and enjoy that. The second thing is that we don't want to have massive stages that completely obstruct the natural beauty around us. We really want the event to kind of leverage and build upon the surroundings that you're in, and leverage that beauty rather than go in and build all these big stages and kind of like detach from the beauty of the venue. So I really hope that guests will feel like immersed within that space and really, really get to experience and enjoy it on the day of the event. That's so great that it sounds like you have an advantage having to have moved it outside of London and found this beautiful site to work with.
Yeah, look, we're lucky that we found the site and we're able to use it. Really, really lucky, and it has given us an advantage. But it also takes a hell of a lot of work, and it would probably be much easier to just use a nightclub in London that we do all the time. In fact, it'd be a lot easier. But we like the challenge, and I think once people are there and they're enjoying it, it will be so worth it.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about your musical lineup? Maybe go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so we'll talk about both dates. So the 10th of July one. So that's quite, a lot of the Innovisions roster are playing that. We've obviously got Arm and Dixon playing back to back, and that's their first back to back in the UK since 2019. Wow. And they're only back to back in the UK this summer. It's really exciting. And then also from artists associated with Innovisions, we've got Trick, Jimmy Jules, Jennifer Cardini, Ter, Sophia Cortez, who I know has just released on Ninja Tune, but slightly similar sound, all playing. Right. But we also wanted to mix up the lineup with more diverse styles. So you've got Tisha playing, who, in my opinion, is probably the most exciting artist in the UK right now. She's signed to Ninja Tune. I think she's got an album coming out soon, and I bank her to become an artist of the scale of Bonobo one day. Carista's closing our Labyrinth, well, I should say, actually it's now the Tom Dixon stage. And that's going to be really cool. Carista plays everything from garage to house to techno to disco. So that'll be quite wide ranging. And yeah, there's a lot of, I'd say it's a combination of up and coming artists. And obviously you've got the big headliners, Arm and Dixon. But the great thing actually about when you book those guys is that you can be really creative with the rest of the lineup, and you should be. Because your ticket should be sold. So what you do with the rest of the lineup should be really interesting in terms of the music that you can get through it. The August 7th event, so that's a very different. July 10th is more sort of, I'd say, generally electronic house dance music. Right. August 7th is a big mix of DJ and live stuff. And we did that because the area around us, this is a really remote countryside village. Mm-hmm. I don't think many people around there know who Dixon is, but they definitely might know who Jose Gonzalez or Elder Island is, which is more live, more relaxed, chilled music. So we wanted to have a day where we program live music and dance music, but also one that Coase was heavily involved in. So the reason Jose Gonzalez is playing, and I don't mean to bang on about this for too long, but I find it really interesting. So Jose Gonzalez and Coase are very, very different artists. You've got Coase, who's electronic artist. I know he dabbles in hip hop and he takes inspiration from that. But then Jose Gonzalez is essentially a solo guitarist singer. They collaborated on a track on Coase's album in 2019 called Music in My Teeth, which was on Knock Knock. Really, really cool track. And when we were thinking about the event, we came up with the idea, actually, if we want live in this, we should get a live artist who's collaborated with Coase before. Right. So, and to have somebody Gonzalez playing at a show is just a dream come true. We've got Elder Island playing live. They actually had their new album come out today. They make sort of very warm, I'd say, sort of electro pop. A guy called Fred Again, who his solo career is just blowing up. He previously has produced more number one hits for leading artists that you can imagine. It's actually ridiculous. Just released his latest album, and he's going to be playing a live show, which I can't wait for. Motor City Drum Ensemble, obviously bringing in disco, you just never go wrong. And then DJ Coase closing it out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to both. Very, very different, but I'm interested to see what comes from both events.
Fred Again's new album is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best pieces of work to come out this year.
Yeah, I am gunning for it to be album of the year as well. I don't know how it gets any better than that. Do you remember the first act you ever booked?
Yeah, so the first act was on a Thursday evening, a tiny, tiny club in West London called Notting Hill Arts Club. We booked Crywald and Farah, and I think myself. And it was actually, you know what? I was so nervous because this was a new thing. It was the first time I promoted an event myself. And I thought, I was and back in then, people weren't buying tickets in advance. So all of the guests were on the door. And it was actually great. It was really, 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 really busy. The preceding events weren't as actually busy as that one. But yeah, it was good fun. Nothing like the artists now, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to start on a high note, right?
Yeah, thank God it wasn't. Thank God there was 200 people there, not 20. You're right. Probably would have given.
Yeah, right. So what's been the most memorable set for you over your career? Maybe that you've played or that somebody else has played?
All right. Well, we'll talk about. I'll answer the somebody else first. Okay. So that's really. We've been really lucky. Particularly, I love artists playing long sets. I really feel that DJs often get booked on shows and they've got an hour and a half or 2 hours. And like, if you're really into your music, it's hard to, I guess, like, it's really, really hard to show that just for a 2-hour set, the range of music that you're into. And we had Kind of Music play. We did their 10 by 10 anniversary in London in 2019.
Yeah.
They played for 7 hours back to back to back to back. A amazing like studio space in West London. That's the best energy I've ever felt at one of our events, for sure. Trick's extended set before the pandemic was pretty special as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two that really like stay true in my mind. Funnest play I've stayed. So I got really lucky once. I was opening a club called Motion in Bristol, and it was me, and then it was meant to be Jennifer Cardini, then Gerd Jansen, then Arm. Yeah. And really sadly, Jennifer Cardini and Gerd Jansen got stuck in traffic. So I ended up getting to play in the main room for like 5 hours before Arm came on, and it was just that was the funnest and most memorable set. And again, because I like playing long sets, I actually really got to try different music and build up different tempos and vibes that you don't get to do when you're playing for 2 hours. So that was cool.
Yeah, having that 5 hours to stretch out really makes all of the difference in how you can develop the set and like move a dance floor.
Yeah. And you could try you can take risks, which you like when everyone's there and it's the main room and you can try things that you just can't do if you're playing an early set or a later set.
Absolutely. So when you think about your festival, who is your target audience?
Yeah, so look, as long as you're above 18, we do not have a target audience. We want.
That's what I like to hear.
Music is a completely encompassing culture. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your age is. As long as you're over 18, we want you there. And we don't have. I genuinely mean that. Obviously, a lot of people are coming from London because of where the event is and the artist, but there's not a particular person that we sell to. We want everybody who likes and is into their music to think that they could come and enjoy it.
That's really the answer that I love to hear, especially in dance music, because this was created to be an all-inclusive thing. And we want everybody to feel welcome, right?
Yeah, massively so. And it shouldn't matter what your class is, your race, your gender. Like, music is all about having fun and enjoying each other's company.
Absolutely. What do you think is unique about your festival? I know you mentioned the Labyrinth, which is a hugely unique festival, but what else sets it apart?
So I would say, and not to just play on, I do think the venue and what people are going to experience in terms of their surroundings on the day is really, really unique. Like, I've been to a lot of festivals in the UK, and I don't want to speak too soon. These things need to happen first, and everything needs to go to plan with COVID. But yeah, I haven't been to a festival outdoors and experience like natural beauty like that. So I do think the venue has set it to far. I'd like to think as well, and look, I know a lot of promoters would say the same thing, but attention to detail, like we really care. Like we lose sleep over the small things, like the loos, the traffic, the fencing, the drinks, the food, the sound, the decor, the lighting, the artist experience, like the whole thing. It's not just about the stage and the sound and the lights. There's a whole experience that's much wider than that. Yeah. And if I could have anything, I want people to leave and think they really care about every little bit of that. Like every touch point was a smooth experience and an enjoyable one.
Beautifully stated. What are some of the challenges you faced to date in organizing your festival? I'm sure COVID is a big one, but what else?
So, I could speak all day about that. So yeah, COVID's obviously, been a real challenge, and still will be a challenge because, I know everything's looking good in the UK, but it's not guaranteed. It's not 100% thing yet until the government makes it clear. And also there'll be a lot more precautions in terms of testing and what you've got to have on the event in terms of PPE and hand sanitizer. But that's the stuff that we are delighted and looking forward to doing. The venue, like logistically, it is in a very rural part of the UK. And getting people to and from the venue is not that straightforward. That's something that we have put a lot of time and attention into. Sound is always a challenge. You've got to make sure, and particularly like we're close to a couple of villages, and we don't want to be a nuisance to them, but at the same time, we want to deliver really good quality sound to our audience. Right. And that's something we have to have, like we've got acousticians around the whole venue, and they'll be taking dB measurements and making sure that it's not too loud, too close to the village. And then, like logistically, these events, I mean, and it sounds ridiculous, but when you've got 30 artists coming to and from a venue, even that in itself, like working out the logistics of who's getting a taxi at what time, who's leaving at what time, how you got to get them back on their plane, making sure they were happy, like all of it is a bit of a challenge. But I think the logistics in terms of where the site is probably the thing that is most tricky. But you're always going to get that with, to do an event in a really unique location. There's a reason why people haven't tried it before, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to close out, is there anything else that you'd like to mention or tell us about?
I would just say get a ticket. You're going to love it. Sorry to plug it. But no, I really think that, given these all can go ahead, and we really pray to God that everything's going to be fine. And as of right now, it's looking good. Get a ticket. You'll come and experience, I think, generally something that you haven't done ever before at UK dance music. And I can't wait to dance with you all this summer. It's going to be magical. It's going to be better than we've ever experienced before.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us today. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.